I guess we have to invite Melissa back for it then. Did you see her face?
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows is a lot of words for a title.
What We Do in the Shadows is a mockumentary about vampires living in Staten Island.
What We Do in the Shadows is full of fun accents.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. As you guessed, today we are doing a review of What We Do in the Shadows, first episode entitled Pilot. With us, as always, he brings the rain without doing the rain dance, Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. Also expert marionetter.
Rain special effects.
We're joined by actress, content creator, and art creator, Malissa Longo.
Hello. How are you doing today?
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I sent out a memo this morning that everybody must wear purple.
And we all got that memo. And we read it too. We opened it and we read it. And we complied with your instructions.
So this is it, guys. Everybody at home, this is what we do. We review the first episode. We review of the first episode of a series. Today it's What We Do in the Shadows. And we talk about it. We tell you what we thought. We give you our honest opinion. And what you do in return is please give this video a like. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications.
Bing!
And lastly, if you'd like us to review any kind of series at all, could be web series, could be on Hulu or Netflix or Amazon or YouTube or whatever, just tell us in the comments below, WTF Transformers or WTF Living Single or WTF For All Mankind. That stands for Watch the First, of course.
What's For All Mankind? I've never heard of that one.
Oh, man. It's one that we might want to see. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to watch the first of that one, huh?
It's definitely a thing. I've been hearing about it for years, even before it ever went in public. Ronald D. Moore's new show, if I remember correctly, and he has a lot of Star Trek alum doing it. Really cool and interesting premise. We'll have to talk about it outside of here. Anyway, here it comes, guys.
This is Ryan's favorite part.
It is. Thank you for remembering. Such a sweetie. So this is my favorite part of the show. It's Michael Kenyon Rosenberg have known each other for well over 20 years. So we can usually safely predict if the other person liked it or didn't like it. I think last time, Michael, you said you were a little wrong. You thought I was kind of mediocre on Resident Alien, but I was pretty high on it.
Well, I thought that you would like it, but I wasn't quite sure. I didn't know that you would like it that much.
Yeah. So here come the predictions. Everybody at home, you predict if you think I liked What We Do in the Shadows. Let us know if you think Michael liked What We Do in the Shadows. And tell us, especially if you think Malissa Longo, with her straight face this time, her poker face, if she liked What We Do in the Shadows. Make your predictions in the live chat, in the comments below.
Yeah.
Guess.
This is the part that we call prediculations.
I predict, well, within the first minute of seeing this show, I predicted that Michael loved this show. In fact, I was so certain that Michael liked this show that I thought he must have already seen this show. There's no way Michael has not already seen the show, because this show seemed right up his alley. I was like, oh my God, obviously this is a Michael Kenyon Rosenberg show. I think Mike is very high on it, like 8.5 or 9. Also, I noticed that it said director Taika Waititi, and Michael keeps throwing that name at basically every single episode. He mentions this director guy, and I don't even know. I'm like, is that a real word? Is that a person's name? But it turned out I saw it written. I was like, oh, that's the guy Mike always says. So I was like, oh, then of course Michael watched it for him. Anyway, Melissa, I think Melissa liked it. I don't think she was over the moon about it, but I think it made her laugh a few times and she was able to enjoy it for what it was. What do you think, Michael?
I think that Ryan got some enjoyment out of it. I don't think he was over the moon about it, but I think there were certain parts about it that he chuckled at, and that he wrote down some notes like, "Oh, that's pretty funny." And
Melissa, I do that about everything.
Yeah, no, but that's my prediction though. And Melissa, I think she did like it a lot.
Is it my turn?
Unless
If you
Michael
want
has
to,
more to
yeah.
say.
No, that's all I had to say. That's Ryan
Okay.
likes it, but doesn't love it. Melissa likes it a lot.
So for Michael, I'm going to steal Ryan's answer. I can't go into as much detail as he did. But yeah, that's my answer too. And for Ryan, I'm going to steal Michael's answer. Yeah, so there you go.
Wow. In-depth
Mm.
analysis. Great
Yep.
predictions. Terrific predictions.
Very smart assumptions, actually.
I'm gonna predict what kind of a student you were, Melissa, during test time in class.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's it. That's the joke. That's the joke.
He's saying that you copied off of people in class.
I think I'm a little smarter than that, but yeah.
And I would copy off you. So here it comes. This is Melissa's favorite part of the show. She said it 5 times already. It's when Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, it's also Michael's favorite part.
This is my favorite part of the show, for sure.
He tells us, what the heck is this show about anyway?
A look into the daily, or rather nightly lives of 3 vampires who've lived together for over 100 years on Staten Island. In this episode, the vampires try to plan a lavish blood feast in honor of a visit by their ancient master from the old country.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And now everybody understands why we wore purple today. Okay. See, it all
Not
comes
just because
together.
it matches your 2 backgrounds. So.
Yep. But because of all this other stuff you've all just learned today. So,
ooh, creepy paper.
so everything will now be revealed. We hope you've made your predictions, whether I liked it, Melissa liked it, or Michael liked it. This is when you're probably going to figure it out. We play what we expected versus what we got. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, it's time to compare and contrast. Before you watch this first episode of What We Do in the Shadows, what did you expect?
Well, it's time to come clean and say that I have seen every episode of
Oh, who would have
both
guessed?
seasons
Who would have guessed? It's
of
me.
What We Do in the
It's
Shadow.
me.
As a matter of fact, this TV show was based on a movie by the same name, starring and directed by Taika Waititi. Also co-written by, and this episode, it was co-written by and co-executive produced by Jermaine Clement of Flight of the Conchords, 2 Kiwis from New Zealand, 2 probably two of the biggest stars out of New Zealand. I mean, obviously you got like Peter Jackson, who's probably the biggest director out of New Zealand, but Taika is making his way up there. He directed Thor Ragnarok. He directed he won an Oscar for best screenplay for Jojo Rabbit, best adapted screenplay for Jojo Rabbit, and he directed Jojo Rabbit. So, yeah, it's fair to say that I love Taika Waititi's work, and I would marry it, and if it would have me. And my wife would be fine with that because she likes his work too, loves his work as well, and so she'd be fine with having a third in our marriage if that third is the work of Taika Waititi.
So everybody at home, you see what I'm saying? How this guy likes to talk about Taika Waititi. Now that we actually are reviewing a show that he directed, that's it. He's going to say that name 100 times.
Well, I can't believe. So it shows you how terrible of a memory Ryan has, because I know that I've suggested to watch this show before, but he must have forgotten about it because he's like, hey, we should watch this show, What We Do in the Shadows. It's like horror comedy. And I was like, yeah, okay, I guess we should watch that one. Yeah. All right.
Well, that's good that
yeah,
you didn't. I'm glad you didn't say, yeah, I've been, because then I would have been able to know exactly what to expect and what it was. All I know is that I've heard the name before. It must have been maybe you,
From me, yeah,
but I've definitely heard other people talking about it. More on that later.
Yeah. So what I expected was to enjoy a show that I absolutely love.
That you absolutely what?
Love,
which was oh gosh. I wish we had like gummy bears and pretzels that would shower me when I get an A+ in my predict. I'd just be like, someone would be in my mouth, they'd be in my hair, but I wouldn't care. The gummy bears would giggle too while they fall. They'd be like, and I'd be like, yeah.
Oh
And it would just be,
Creepy.
man, no.
Giggling gummy bears.
See, it's a good idea. Anyway, so while I just bask in my glory and just imagine, I'm still actually picturing it. I can feel them just smothering my face,
bouncing off your face, yeah,
here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
That's in their song. So
Yeah.
Melissa, I feel like we're off track a little bit. What did you expect before you
Ryan's
watched this?
too busy congratulating himself. Yeah,
I'm showering myself.
Melissa, what did you expect? I'll take over for Ryan's part.
Shower.
Please.
That's for sure. I did not expect a shower of gummy bears.
I need to cool off.
I've never heard of this show before, so I had zero expectations. And what I got.
No,
wait.
Oh.
That was a close one. Well, that's a good question, Melissa. I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you what I expected.
Yeah, what did you expect?
Nothing. I didn't really know. Okay. I think I had heard somebody, more on this later. I had heard somebody mentioned participating in this show, because I remember hearing the title and thinking it's kind of like a long and uncomfortable title. I'm like, I just don't like the title. What We Do in the Shadows just sounds like too much.
In
the
shadows.
In the Shadows is okay. Anyway, so that's really all I expect. I thought that it was horror. I knew it was horror related. And I think I had the impression that it was also comedy related, at least, mostly horror, but with some comedy. That's kind of what I expected. But that's what we expected. What did we actually get, Michael? What did you actually get?
What did I actually get? Well, I got something that was less good than the first time I watched it. Like the first time I watched it, I was like dying laughing, like literally doubled over, like with giggles. But this time, because I've seen all the jokes before, and I think this is only the second time that I've watched it though. So it's not like I've watched the show over and over again. I've only watched every episode one time. But because I'd already seen all and I knew what was coming, it was less funny to me this time than the first time I was watching it. It was still funny, but not as uproariously hilarious as I remember the first time.
See you guys. Melissa, what did you actually get?
I got a surprisingly entertaining show.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I was very entertained.
I think Michael and I are going to duke it out in this episode. Michael's going to be like, it's so good. And I want to be like, well, who knows what I'm going to be like.
Well, tell us.
Okay.
Tell us what you got, what you get.
Well, what I got was an immediate, like I said, like a punch in the face. Michael was demonstrating like a punch in the face, immediately going, oh my God. I think it's one of the first things I put in my notes. I said, I don't remember where I put it, but it's at the very beginning. I said, oh my God, Mike is going to love this show. This is such a Michael show. Yeah, that's the first.
Is that what you thought the whole time that you were watching? You didn't even pay attention to the show. You just thought, oh, Mike's going to love the show.
Well,
I'm going to get such good high marks for saying that he loves it.
What I got was something that immediately punched in the face as a Michael Kenyon Rosenberg show. And as it progressed, I was kind of like, I mean, I kind of like it too. I was like, well, I mean, it got better than I expect. At first, I was just like, what is this low budget student film? Am I watching, what was that British comedy that you made me watch, Michael? Spaced.
Which one?
Like super low budget.
Yeah.
I was like, is this another, it's going to be super like YouTube web series, whatever this thing is. But the more, as it progressed, I was like, yeah, it's funny. So I got a show with humor and charm.
All right. So I'm liking the way this is going. Well, I'll tell you this much. The original film, the film was based on a short film, which was definitely a very shoestring budget. But even the feature film was a kind of a low budget film too, made in New Zealand, with New Zealand money, which is worthless. No, it's but as a beginning filmmaker, we all know that you don't have a lot of money to work with. And it wasn't Taika's first film. I think his first film was a film called Boy, which was very low budget, but very good also. If you haven't seen the film Boy by Taika Waititi, check it out. It's very good film. But then it was, I believe, his second film, and still low budget because he hasn't gotten that Thor Ragnarok money yet. Mm-hmm. So he couldn't make big budget films like Thor Ragnarok, or even like the indie film Jojo Rabbit he was nominated for a Best Oscar, Best Director. He won Best, like I mentioned before, won Best Adapted Screenplay. So, but he had some more money to play with to make that film. So.
And who doesn't like playing with money? It's fun. Well, let's talk about it, shall we? Let's really really get into this thing. So full confession, I've teased this a bit, but I thought I remembered hearing about this show before, and I wasn't 100% sure. But then about midway through it, I was like, okay, I was right. As soon as the Baron's character popped out of the coffin, and I was
Doug Jones.
Immediately I was like, that's got to be Doug Jones, because anytime you need creature thing that's tall and thin and I could tell from his movements, even though his face was changed very well, but his movements, and then I was like, wow, he's doing a great job with his accent. I don't recognize his voice at all. But then there were some points where he spoke a little lower. He did some things. I was like, okay, 100% Doug. And I did remember, I said, okay, then I had heard him telling me about working on this series in the past on, we like to do our little late night dates in North Hollywood, and we just talk and have fun. And he told me about this, and I guess, I don't know if I can say I don't remember. Well, anyway, whatever. So he told me about it. I'm like, I don't remember what's a spoiler and what's not, and what so maybe I've only seen this first episode so far, so I don't know what I can or can't say. But anyway, the point is, that also made me happy, even though, he didn't have a huge part, but, maybe he'll be back someday.
Yeah. They get some good talent. I mean, like in the second season, Mark Hamill shows up in one of the episodes, and like there's a few episodes with what's his name, Haley Joel Osment as an adult. So yeah, they get some good people on this show, but really the core cast is what really drives it. I mean, it's not like this is one of those shows where they get all sorts of cool cameos, and that's what makes the show good.
Right.
This is a good show just because of the solid writing and because of the solid cast.
Wasn't it Haley Joel Osment and whatever in something we saw recently? What was it? Future Man? Was he in Future Man?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think he. Oh no, he was in the first episode. Yeah, he was in the first episode of Future Man.
Yeah. So, all right. You know this question is coming because this is my favorite question always. And Michael, you just opened the door for it. You swung it open. The question is, who is your favorite character in What We Do in the Shadows?
In the Shadows. So that's a tricky question for me, because my favorite character. I did know that you were going to ask this question because
Right.
I do know that this is your favorite question. But my favorite character in this episode is not my favorite character throughout the rest of the series. And I'll just tell you right now, my favorite character in this episode is Laszlo. He's the guy all the way to Melissa's right. The bearded goatee.
They're all bearded.
Vampire.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that guy. Yeah.
So he is
Laszlo.
the guy that has the wife that's cheating or trying to cheat on him.
Right.
Okay.
And I just one of the funniest things is when he turns into a bat, he starts running. He says, "Bats!"
Yeah. That was funny.
He turns into a bat. Starts flying. Yeah, no, he's. I love that character, Matt. That actor, Matt Berry. No, is it Matt Berry? I think it's Matthew Berry.
It's Bat Mary. So why was he your favorite?
Matt Berry. Yeah, so he's hilarious. He's a hilarious actor. I've seen him in other things. He was a big part of the second season of the IT Crowd, another British comedy that Ryan would probably hate because he hates British comedies. But he's hilarious.
It's not.
In this show.
It's not that I hate it. It's just that it's not funny.
Well, it is.
They call it a comedy, but I think that's more of the genre than it is an actual description of.
Well, Ryan just doesn't understand British humor, is what I think it is. But yeah, Matt Berry as Laszlo is hilarious in this first episode. But my favorite character throughout the entire series is definitely Nadja. She kills it. I mean, even this first episode.
That's the lady that didn't turn into a
vampire.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Oh man, there's so much I want to say that's not in this episode, so I won't say it. But yeah, when she finds this guy who is like she had an affair with when he was in a previous life, but then he died, and then she's still alive, and then he got reincarnated or something like that. She thinks his name's Gregor, but his name's Jeff. And she has a hard time saying
Gregor
Jeff. She's
Jeff.
like, Gregor Jeff? Jeff? Yeah, so I just yeah, she's hilarious, and she gets funnier too as the series goes on. So
what a relief.
She kills it. She does, yeah.
Boy, I like that. I got very curious when you said that your favorite character in this first episode is not your favorite character in the series, and luckily you
answered that question.
Yeah, you quenched my thirst. Melissa, are you still thinking about the giggling gummy bears? I totally am, by the way.
No.
Oh, yeah, me neither. That was just a thing I was talking about earlier for fun. But
Giggling
Melissa,
gum bears. I'm thinking about them now.
I thought you might be. I had a feeling. So who's your favorite character, by the way?
This is a tough question because they
Gruffy
all have...
Gummy, Grouchy
Yes.
Gummy, Tummy Gummy.
Tummy, yeah.
The tummy gummies. Gummies in my tummy. Yummy. This is a tough question because they all have some really great moments. Like I immediately liked Guillermo.
Yeah.
because when he goes, rise. It's just the way and how much he so wants to be a vampire.
Yeah.
And then I love Nandor and the way he says pillage. I'm going to pillage you.
Please don't pillage me.
Yeah,
I'm going
that
to
was
pillage
great.
everybody.
No, I'm going to pillage everyone, including
That's-
you.
Including you.
Including
It's
you.
very funny.
Yeah, that was a laugh out loud moment. And
Yeah.
I like Nadia too.
Yeah.
And the way she's just so, I don't know. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
Sharpie.
Will Smith actually told me that her last name is Head.
Oh god.
Nod your head. Remember that song? Nod your head.
Nope. Nobody
Can't say
remembers
that I
that
do.
song.
Somebody
nobody likes
Somebody
nobody likes your
remembers
dumb
it.
joke.
Rico knows. Rico's with me on this. Where's
Rico knows
Rico? Are
all.
you? No.
Rico's not even here.
He'll be here next week. Spoiler. Nod your
No.
head. So, well,
What about you?
yeah. Also, Michael, you bring up an interesting thing that I kind of want to throw out there. I'm probably going to regret this, but I'm drunk on gummy bears and pretzels right now. So
Okay.
I feel bad when I make fun of British comedy because it's not, it's called comedy just because that, again, that's the genre, but it's not funny, right? Red
Here we go.
Dwarf wasn't
Hilarious,
even
yeah.
funny because of how bad it was. So here's the challenge, guys, because I'm thinking right now we're going to get a lot of hate comments like, oh, these guys don't like the British. Wait, that's a French accent.
You're gonna get hate comments.
That
You're
is
the only one.
Ryan.
But that's us. Then they put so here's that. Let's channel that anger
I'll agree with them in the comments. I'll be like, you're right. Ryan is dumb.
into positivity and say, it's a challenge, guys. What British comedy do you think I'll actually laugh at and I'll enjoy? And will Michael also like her? Do we have different styles of British comedy? So say WTF and a British show that you say there's no way this snooty Frenchman Ryan is not going, no matter how snooty he is, he will laugh at this series. There's some British series out there, some British comedy that can turn me around. Which are they? What's the one? So
I mean, I'll just say it
WTF.
right now, The British Office, because you liked the first episode of the American version of The Office, and it's they pretty much made a carbon copy of The British Office. So there you go, WTF,
British Office.
UK.
And that one show about background actors.
Oh, yeah.
Extras.
Extras, yeah. So funny. Yeah.
WTF extras.
Extras.
That's one where Patrick Stewart says, and I've seen everything, right?
Yeah.
Solid. So
But I don't think that's the first episode, though. We only watched the first of things. Don't forget.
Yeah, we'll find out. So my favorite character, I mean, there were two that jumped out at me. The same two Melissa mentioned, the dweeb Guillermo that he's just very funny, and it's a likable character in the writing, and the actor takes it home with his pathetic innocence and is just his genuineness that we all go like, oh, just let him be a vampire. It's something we always like to root for as an audience, right? Somebody that just wants something so bad, but it's like this obscure thing that's weird, but we think it's cute. It's a very redeeming quality in somebody, really likable quality. And then obviously, I guess Nandor, his delivery and his acting was so funny, and how like what Melissa, you were just saying, like when they were saying, and then they tell me, please don't pillage me. No, I will pillage you. That everybody, that includes you, or whatever it was. I wrote it all down. Please don't pillage me. No, I am pillaging everyone, including you. Very funny. But again, you think about these written and you're like, okay, it's funny. But clearly the actors with their accents and the way they are pronouncing words and the way they're making it very clear that English is a second language. So we're laughing at their delivery of words, not just how silly the words are, but how they're saying it, and that's a very good combination. We do love to laugh at people saying things in a funny manner, and these guys do it very well. All of them really did. So those two were the two standouts for me.
And his creepy paper.
It's crepe paper, Master.
Yeah.
Creepy paper, creepy paper.
Ooh, variety pack.
I did like that they poked a lot of fun at the LARPers.
Oh yeah, that's where he finds the virgins. Guillermo goes to a LARP, a live action role play, to find virgins. He's like, oh, this is where all the virgins are. And then they show up to the house and they're like, are you virgins? And they're like,
I don't see how that's a relevant question.
Oh, he's like, oh yeah, definitely a virgin then. So, and now Colin Robinson.
Yes.
That one sold me a little less. I thought it was a very funny and clever idea to have him be an energy vampire, because that's a funny play on words. It's a perfect character to have that makes no sense, because it makes you think, like, how did he get in there? Like, did he knock on the door and be like, well, I'm an energy vampire, can I live here? Or did somebody introduce him as an energy vampire? And then they're like, oh, well, we must include him in our sect or whatever. I don't really know how that worked out, but I wanted to see more from him, because energy vampires, the reason they're an energy vampire is because they're just so much. They're so present. They're taking up a lot of your energy and your thought and your time. And he really wasn't. He would say something and just kind of walk away. I was like, he just seems more like a loser.
He has a much bigger part later in the show, for
I
sure.
I knew, and I was hoping you'd say that. Yeah.
Well, if you knew it, then why did you wait for me to say it?
Because I'm shy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, he plays a much bigger part later on. And I think in this first episode, like the title it suggests, this is just a pilot. And so it's just kind of trying to introduce his character, and we get a lot more from him later. So,
Good more or bad more?
Oh, good.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and this guy too, Colin Robinson. What he was on like the later versions of this character Mark Proch. The actor was in some of the later seasons of The Office too. He played Nate, the warehouse worker. He was actually started out as acting as Dwight's assistant, because Dwight became like the property manager of the building. But then later on, he got hired to work in the warehouse, and he was just hilarious in The Office, and so it was refreshing to see him in this new show too. So.
Okay. Melissa.
All right. Okay.
What was your favorite moment? What made you laugh the loudest or the hardest, or you thought it was the most clever? Or what moment did you were just like, you liked it so much that you had to rewind it and get your cat on your lap and be like, watch this, Mochi. Why am I talking to a cat? I don't care. Watch this, Mochi.
First of all, I always talk to my cat, so this is not unusual. And I think I already mentioned my favorite part was the pillage. No,
Pillage.
You included. Love it. Well, and I do like when he wants to wear glitter like Twilight.
Mike liked it too.
Oh, Nandor.
Nandor.
He's a hoot.
Well, Michael, what about you? Did you have if you had to narrow down to 1, 2, or 3, just big win moments for you?
So, I mean, like I had mentioned before, the first time I watched this show, I was dying. I was literally doubled over, dying with laughter. The way that Ryan does when he farts in the room and then somebody smells it.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's how much I was laughing at this show the first time I watched it. The second time though, like I said, there were still some parts that made me laugh. The creepy paper part, the pillage part. The part that I laughed the most at though is like when like I mentioned before, like Laszlo, he's taking off and he starts running and he goes, "Bat!" He just turns into a bat. Oh man, that just kills me every time.
Yes.
Like, why would you have to yell it and say it? Because like none of the rest of, but by the way, I'll tell you later on, none of the rest of them have to say the word bat when they're changing into a bat. He's just so extra and so dramatic. He's bat. I also
too
liked when they had like the talking heads when like Nadja's talking about, oh, better enough than us. We had a little affair years ago, and then it cuts to Laszlo, and he's like, "Oh, the Baron and I, yeah, we had a little thing going on," and then the Baron comes out, he's like, "Nadja," and he's like, "Oh, Laszlo." I don't know, that was kind of funny.
I too was pleasantly surprised by the added word "bat." I don't know why, but it definitely it was just funny. You know, it's just something that
Right.
you don't expect. You don't expect him to need to say it, probably because he doesn't.
No.
I did like when Nadja Head was saying Gregor Jeff and like, you know, kind of screwing that up, and she couldn't get it straight. And
Chiff.
And when she was taking a picture of him outside his window, and he was, I don't know what he was. No, I don't know what he was doing with his phone and in his.
Yeah,
I think
what was he doing?
He was checking for lumps in his testicles.
Okay. That was a funny moment. I did like that they were making fun of the LARPers. That was kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I'm like, yeah, you get those nerds, those guys. I don't know.
We're gonna get a lot of angry comments, Ryan.
Well, sometimes people are just a little too pleased with them, so they think that what they're doing is a little cooler than what it is in actuality. And so sometimes they need to be reminded that vampires think they look like virgins, by the way.
I've never actually participated in a live action role play.
Let's do it. It sounds fun.
But when I was a teenager, I think I was like maybe still in high school or just out of high school. I remember me and a couple friends of mine. I don't know if you were there, Ryan, but we were walking through Cataldi Park. We're like cutting through this back way to get to Capitol Boulevard there, and there were some LARPers LARPing it up in
I was not
Park.
there. Oh man, I can just imagine if it was like you and Bobby Garcia, maybe an Alan Mulligan in there. I can only imagine that you guys may have been a little mean to them back in the high school days.
Oh no, we were like in awe. These guys were like
okay. Then it wasn't with Bobby. Then
these guys were in like full plate armor. They had like swords and shields. They had guys like throwing like cushioned spears. Like there was like a cushion on the end, so if it hit somebody, it wouldn't hurt them, you know. But like they were like throwing these spears in, and there was just a complete melee battle. And we're just like, whoa, awesome! Dang, what are these guys doing? Like I'd never heard the term LARP before.
Yeah.
But then that was my first experience with watching a LARP, and it was amazing.
Did you stay and watch for a while?
A little bit, yeah. But then we had to probably go get stoned or something. So, you know.
Had to.
Yeah.
Melissa, have you ever LARPed before?
This episode is the first time I've ever heard the term. So no. I was like, what is LARPing? And then she explained it. And I was like, oh, okay. So no, I haven't.
Would you?
Possibly. It could be fun.
If you were to LARP, what would your LARPing character be?
Wizard.
A badass knight riding on a horse with the joust thing.
I'd be a wizard chucking fireballs from afar.
Would you?
Or maybe with a bow and arrow. Ooh. that would work.
Oh.
Ah,
When Melissa was saying that she would be a badass knight riding on a horse, my immediate thought was, would be both the knight and the horse?
Just a knight
Oh.
who loves their horse very much.
right.
Aw.
You could be a centaur.
Right.
Oh,
And you would talk to your
Ah.
horse. That's for
of
sure.
course.
Of course, of course. What about you,
Mhm.
Ryan? What about you, Ryan, the half-elf rogue?
I guess
Or
I'll
no,
be a
you
half elf rogue.
ranger? No, you'd be a ranger.
A night ranger.
Priestess,
Motoring. Oh,
Sister
Priestess
Christian.
could you combine them?
yeah, a night ranger.
Yeah, you
That's-
can
I
be
think-
a multi-class.
Priestess knight. Because
Ooh.
I want to do magic too.
I would be like, if I were a knight that was riding on a horse, I'd be a night rider.
Ah.
Oh. Would your horse be named Kip?
Yes.
Ah.
Very good.
Ah.
So anyway, guys, we've may have gone off the rails here, but it's time to get back on the rails. It's Purple Day, as everybody
On the
knows.
Crazy train. Yep.
Mhm. Very good, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne, ladies and gentlemen. Malissa Longo, let's talk about you for a moment.
All right.
Short for moment. So here's the big question of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Will you please tell us about the new line of shirts you have on your website, which is Star Trek related stuff, Star Trek inspired stuff, called Walking Art, made by Melissa.com.
.com.
It's going to be, the link is going to be in the description box below. It's not limited to Star Trek related stuff, but it's heavily influenced. Will you tell us about it?
Yes, it's a new hand-drawn line that's it was actually inspired by a t-shirt I had done before called Chat Pack.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love to do one for each character, but kind of having the same simple outline of these characters and with something that relates to them. So I started with Picard because that one stood out to me a lot in the Chat Pack shirt. So yeah, so I started with Picard and then moved on to Jadzia. I don't know how she just came up, and then
She seemed to me, when I was looking at the designs, like a lot more work. I was thinking, how much time did you spend on those spots?
the spots take a long time because
because Picard was just one squiggly line, but Jadzia was like
Yes.
100 spots that you had to do.
so anyone who's ordered Picard, I'm like, yes, because the shirts are hand painted. They're not
Wow.
done with a screen. So, you know, another reason
Wow.
why to keep them simple. But so each one is hand painted.
Wow.
Yeah, and so
I'm going to cherish mine then. I ordered the Picard, everybody. People have been
Nice.
going crazy for these shirts, though, right? Have you gotten a lot of orders so far?
a few. I think they need to marinate through the web a little bit
Yeah.
more to gain some traction. But I would love everyone to have one of these shirts. The latest
Every
one with
single
diamond.
one.
Yes, get everyone.
Yeah, I've got the Picard one as well, Michael. We're going to be twinsies.
Ah,
We're going to
nice.
be, oh man, we're going to have to both wear them when you get yours. So I'm looking forward to
Okay.
that.
Well, and I'll wear one too, because I've made one in my size as well.
Oh, I guess we have to invite Melissa back for it then. Did you see her face?
Yeah.
No, but that's going to be awesome. It's
Yeah.
really cool. They're a lot of fun, and everybody. What's cool about your art, Melissa, is that you know how to have something so simplified yet recognizable. Right?
Mhm.
It's just Picard's egghead and a little squiggly line, but we immediately know that's Picard. Plus it says, make it so at the bottom there, you know, beautiful, brilliant, perfect. So let's see, there's Picard, there's Jadzia, there's Guinan, and there are a couple others, right?
There's Kira and Spock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which one are you most proud of so far, Melissa?
Probably Guinan.
Yeah, that Guinan is pretty spectacular.
That turned out, it surprised me how it turned out. So, yeah, but I had her face in my head and I was like, okay, I got to get this down. So draw it and then, and then I had to paint it onto a shirt. So I did.
Can't believe those are hand painted.
I know. Yeah.
How long does it take you to make them?
It doesn't, because the outline isn't, well, it depends. It depends on a lot of factors. It depends on the paint, if it's cooperating, and the brush, if it's cooperating, and Mochi, if she's cooperating. So, yeah, but it could take about an hour or so to paint them.
Wow.
Took longer to draw them initially, but then I, do an outline and transfer it over. So
very interesting. Are you planning on doing more of them?
I am planning on doing more.
Will you give us a sneak preview as to what you're thinking might be next?
I was thinking Benjamin Sisko. Or 7 of 9, or Jordy.
Nice. Now, let's be honest. That's a pretty cool 3-person crew right there. Right?
Yeah. Just throw in O'Brien, and then that's all you need.
Oh, he's definitely coming. I just have.
They're just gonna have the hair. Just the hair.
Gotta think of something clever to say for O'Brien.
Yeah. Dirts.
Yeah, dirts.
Dirts.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. It's very creative. People love them. Everybody at home, make sure you click the link in the description box below, walkingartmadebymelissa.com, and check it out. Look around, buy stuff, share it with your friends, tell your friends, message Melissa and be like, whoa, I really like what you did with the Picard one. And she'll be like, it's the easiest one. Get it. So that being said, here it comes.
Sad, wasn't it?
It's karate chop time. Hiya! It's the bottom line, aka
bottom line.
Terrible Twos, aka the bottom liner. Mike gets mad at me when I call it the Terrible Twos because it is called
the bottom line, aka the bottom line.
The Terrible Twos. Here we go. It's the final 2 questions of this podcast. It's the most important 2 questions. So let's just get right into it. They need no introduction. Now that I've introduced them, question number 1, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. On a scale of 1, oh man, you're going to rate this so high. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the first episode of What We Do in the Shadows, entitled Pilot?
I'll tell you that I was prepared to give this my highest rating ever.
What?
I was prepared to give this my highest rating ever.
Oh.
But then rewatching it, I was kind of like, yeah, these jokes weren't as funny the second time watching it. I still laughed a lot, but it's not worthy of my highest score ever. But I will still give this first episode of What We Do in the Shadows, entitled Pilot, written by Jermaine Clement, directed by Taika Waititi, executive produced by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. I'll give it a 9.
Man, I wish you could see in my notes, I've already got a 9 written, not a 9 point anything. I've got a 9. And I was just waiting. I'm like, can you just finish so I could take my finger off? And then you just kept going longer just to tease me. But I didn't want to like keep spacing over just in case I was wrong. But I got a 9 for you. I wrote a 9. Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Melissa.
Line it up.
In their defense, I will say that, remember, even if the jokes didn't hit as hard this time or didn't land as hard as they did before, remember, a lot of it was the delivery too. The deliveries.
Oh, that's
really
why I
didn't-
gave it a 9. So
Yep.
still a high score.
It's very high. Very high. Speaking of very high, Melissa, what would you give on a scale of 1 to 10 to this first episode of What We Do in the Shadows?
So I've been toiling over this answer because I'm not a very good rater, but I would
Just-
say
Estimate
like-
high.
I would say a 7.8959.
Oh,
Nine.
no. Do you want to simplify that for my notes?
Nope.
Okay, 7.9.
Okay. I guessed 8.5. I was a little off there. Very nice.
All right, Ryan, you're in the hot seat now. Is that seat getting too hot for you?
No, it's full of gummy bears and pretzels. Not even like the
Sounds
stick pretzels,
sticky.
just
Sounds
the
sticky.
just these kind of
Sticky.
pretzels. What I wanted to give it last night when I watched it, I think I'm gonna stick with it. Am I? I guess I should have thought about
9.9.
this. My initial impression was 7.5. But upon revisiting the delivery of the actors, I think I'm gonna go a little lower and give it a 7.8. Final answer. Oh wait, 8 is higher than 5, huh? So yeah, I'm gonna stick with 7.8 because of the delivery of the actors. Because and obviously, Michael, you must be onto something with this director, because obviously a lot of that is directing, because they're not just making acting choices, they're making entire character choices, which is going to be, honed or influenced by the director. The director is going to tell them, go as big as you can, do this kind of accent or do whatever it is. Clearly, the actors and the director came together and made something that we think is unique and funny.
Well, I'll tell you that the three main characters in the three main vampire characters in this episode are based on the three main vampire characters from the movie. Not completely.
Based? It's not the same actors?
No.
Oh,
No,
interesting.
in the movie, it was Taika Waititi, Jermaine Clement, and then there was like a third guy too. I forget his name, but they were actually the actors in the movie.
Weird.
Yeah, Taika is a very good actor as well. He did the voice of the IG unit in The Mandalorian. If you remember, he also directed the last episode of season 1. I think he maybe directed an episode or 2 of season 2 of The Mandalorian as well. But yeah, he likes to put himself in his own movies. He plays Hitler in Jojo Rabbit. He plays the father in Boy. He's a very good actor, very hilarious actor. He plays the Nandor type character in the movie of What We Do in the Shadows.
So
But
we're
these
almost out of
characters are
time.
different.
But why didn't he have himself, have the same cast,
Well, I do know, but it's a spoiler. So you're just gonna have to keep watching if you want to find out.
It's
But I guess we'll have to find out now if we are going to continue watching.
It's a spoiler to know why him and the
Yep.
Clement guy were not in this new series.
Yep.
Weird. Okay.
Yep.
And intriguing. All right. Well, Mike, you are correct as always. the second question in the power deuce, the bottom line, the final two questions, the terrible twos, is for the purposes of this podcast, we had to watch the first episode of What We Do in the Shadows. Now that the podcast is over and we are free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, don't answer right away, really give it some thought, but would you watch the second episode?
Well, I was fully prepared to come on here and say that I absolutely would watch the second episode. But then after watching this first episode again, like I mentioned a couple times, it was not as drop dead hilarious as that it was the first time I watched it. Okay, Ryan, you're on to me. I would watch the second episode again. So.
Yeah.
My subterfuge has been subterfuded.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to have like a show that you like it a little bit less, but you still love it. It's still great. It's still well written and directed. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
All the way. Melissa, would you watch the second episode?
I think I would watch the second episode. Yes.
All right, now for the tough one. Have we done enough to convince Ryan to watch the second episode?
Yeah. In my notes when I watched it, I put 7.5 and no/yes because I'm not really sure. I'll make it a game time decision. But when I'm looking back on it with fondness, that's enough to push me over the edge. Because sometimes when you sleep on it, you're like, it was okay, but who cares? But like if you sleep on it and then the next day you look back and you're like, I remember those scenes and they made me laugh and I like to share them with my friends. That means you wouldn't mind seeing the next one probably. So that's a triple yes. That's that.
Nice. I'll tell you on IMDb, the pilot got an 8.1. But episode 9, 9.4. Yeah.
I wouldn't watch the 9th though. Jeez. I'd watch the 2nd.
No, but then, it just gets better.
So anyway, that's it, you guys. We did a lot of good today. We saved the world in our own special way. And it's time to move forward. Yeah. So what I'd like to say is this podcast certainly wasn't it?
You said that last week. You can't use the same one.
That's why I was already cracking myself up before I said it, because I wanted to see your reaction.
Okay. So do another one.
This podcast was purple.
This podcast was a lot better the first time I watched it.
This podcast was sticky.
It was gummy berry,
yeah, gummy bear stickiness and then pretzel stickies.
Yeah, it made me, Michael, what you said made me think of how I was going to tell you a time travel joke, but you didn't like it.
Yeah, I remember that. Dead air.
Okay. And it's just like watching Melissa when she pieces it together and she's like, what's happening? Why are these guys being so stupid all the time? That's who we are.
Crazy guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Everybody remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg likes to always say to all of us.
Don't be stupid. Register to be an organ donor and watch the first of things.